Okay, this is part 3. In part 3, we're going to be painting, taping, showing you how I use the mini scraper to cut. That's how I cut my tape, and we're going to be drying with our little heat tool, and I'll talk about some brushes and that kind of thing. So here we go. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is paint this strip here. And then I'll either fast forward or just cut the filming off until I get the other 3. But once you get this one, you'll know how to do the other ones. So let's just get started painting that one. Now the first thing that I did, I went all the way around mine, taping off that border, the inside border. But I just wanted to, and that's what we're going to do here, so that we only have this line here that we're working with. I'm getting my tape right down on my line. Now I use these paint scrapers. It's for your window or any kind of craft that you're doing. You need to scrape off some paint, and I just lay it here and cut it. And that's how I do my cuts. And I'll show you again in a minute. A little bit different, not difficult, but cutting triangles is a little different. Alright, now let's just tape up the sides too. Now that just kind of helps you stay focused. Hey, look here, did you see that? Get that quite straight. There you go. There we go. We've got it. Okay. Now here's what I like to do. Now this is what I like to do, just to kind of make myself stay in line. Now I can look over here. If you've done this a long time, you probably won't need it. But we're going to do the dark pink first. And that is going to be, let's see, that is going to be, hang on a minute, Beauty Queen. The name of this paint is Beauty Queen. And I'll show you all that again at the end. Let's see if this is going right. So I'm going, that's probably not going right. I'm just going to put a little B for Beauty Queen in all the places that I need that to be the dark pink. And we're gonna paint that first, and then take care of these. And those are different colors, so you just kind of have to be mindful of that. Okay, so when I'm taping these up, I'll show you. I'll follow that line, and I'm getting right on that edge and cutting it. Now, things to go smoother. Oh, wait a minute, I taped the wrong thing, didn't I? This is what I need to tape. Let's start that again. I'm gonna mess you up if I don't. All right, these are the ones we're gonna tape. So what I'm gonna do, all right, right on the end of that and cutting it. And I'm just gonna do every other one, because if I do this, I'm going off into that. Now I can cut that. I can get that precise with it. But the easiest thing to do is just come back along and paint the other one. So I'm doing every other one. So if you've never done it this way before, that might be the way you want to start. Now see, I could cut and get these all done at one time. In fact, that's what we'll do here. And then let you guys decide which way you like doing it better. See, it's just easier doing it this way. I'm not gonna do that. I'll change my mind. It's just easier this way. I don't have to fret and worry about it. Who's in a hurry? I'm not. And here's another one that didn't get covered up. I could do that one. Trying to make sure I stay right on my lines. And that way you'll get a real smooth, crisp, clear angle. Here's another one that didn't get covered up. I can do that one. So there's these. That's not right. Y'all catch me when I do stuff. See, that one's going this way. I'm making sure I got it right. Okay. Now let me get a tray and my paintbrush. Okay, so I've got, you can tell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the only ones that I've taped up right now on that line. So I'm taking my heat tool and I'm getting rid of my lines. And again, these are the heat erasable pens that I'm using. And I counted 5 so that I would know where I am. And I wouldn't be painting more than I'm supposed to. Alright, so we're just going to use the same color as we did on the other one. And like I said, this is from Home Depot. It's Beauty Queen, and that actually is a sample from Behr, which is exterior. Now this particular one, I know is going to be hung on the inside. But if I seal this correctly, I've been told they'll work on the outside too. And I know for a fact the Bear will. The Bear exterior from Home Depot will. But the last time I was at Lowe's, and I think I've mentioned this before, they've started selling exterior samples too. They've actually put an exterior on the bottle. So that'd be wonderful because I love those colors too. Alright, so we're just going to make, and let me tell you about this brush. When you're brushing that on, don't go into your paint. And you know, did I show you what I did? Or was I off camera? I take this card and press it down. I think I did that off camera, I'm sorry. I press it down like that before I take the heat tool and get rid of the lines. And so I'm just going real easy. And you see, you can see that board. If you can't see that board, when you get that first coat on there, you have put it on way too thick. So just know it takes just a little dab of paint. And that was the hardest thing for me to get used to. But you just have to. You just have to put it on really thin. Now, I could let that dry for a few minutes, or I could take my heat tool and just go over it. Now these brushes, my favorite brushes. Now, before I tell you that, I used to get a lot of them from Michael's and Home Depot, and I still do. They've got good brushes. But I started trying to find plaid. And I took the advice of some other folks, and what they said was right. These are just awesome little brushes. They don't lose their bristles. Bristles don't stick out, and you have to cut them off. And they last a long time. Now, if I was more careful with mine, I'm sure they'd last longer. But let's see what these were. I don't know. I can't remember how much. There's 5 in this pack, and you see, they're just the best sizes for these 2x2s, unless you've got a lot of space to cover. Now you have to get a bigger one. But they come in different colors, blue, black, and this is white. This one is a dark blue, navy blue. But I like the size of them, and I like how they do. Anyway, that's probably, yep, that coat's dry. So give it a hit. Give it a little hit just to be sure. Alright, now let's put the 3rd coat. And I'm probably going to end up putting 4. And that's alright. I'd rather put 5 little thin coats than have a big bunch of gumpy paint goobers trying to peel your tape up. Been there, done that. Peel up the tape. Peel up the tape and half the paint comes with it. You noticed how I blocked that off this way so I could center and focus in on this one section. Plus, I don't have to keep taping those edges again. I'm gonna paint all the way across there eventually, so that just saves time. And I'll take that tape up and use it somewhere else. All right, here comes fourth coat. And we'll see what happens. All right. One of these days, I want to figure out how to have an Amazon shop where I can just click, put a link down in the description, and you'll know right where to go to get this stuff. But just Google plaid brushes or Google mini, M-I-N-I, paint scrapers. And I think you get like 8 in a pack, different colors. Orange, green, yellow, and red. I think that's all. Now, I bought these little paint trays at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I think maybe both of them had it. The last time I was there, they didn't have any, and they don't have them on the website either. But I love them because you can put as little or as much paint in these little wells as you need to. But if I find them anywhere else, I'll let you guys know. But they have another kind. I didn't buy it because I didn't need it, but there's smaller wells, and that might work. You just have to keep putting more in it. And I have seen people not use these at all, but use them condiment cups and just pour a little bit in there at a time. Where when I get through in the evenings, or if I stop for some reason, got somewhere that I gotta go or whatever, I'll put these in a baggie and ziplock it shut. Where if you're using those little condiment cups, you'll have lids, and you can just put the lid on top of it, and it stays good. And then I usually just put my brush. I either wash it out or I'll put it in a baggie too, if I know I'm going to be using it again. All right, let me see about pulling this off. And then I'll talk about this, but I'll just mute the rest of it and fast forward it a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. But there's no use to tell you every little bitty thing all over again. And that way, if you need to, I'll fast forward. I'll speed it up, not fast forward. I'll speed it up. And if you need to fast forward, you can. All right. Let me peel this off, and I'm going to pull away from my paint. And I just stick it right up there because I'm going to use it again. Now, if that paint's not dry, you don't want to do that because you'll get it on your board. And I've got an old marble. It's not that old, it's kind of old, but I had a little marble thing that I had under my coffee pot, and I took it up and brought it down here, and that slick marble's perfect to stick my paint strips, my tape strips on. So I'm not going to take that up. Let's see which one was on top. See? There we go. Got some clean lines. See that? Right into the corner. All right, now I'm going to do the rest of the places that I marked B, including this big block right here. And I'll fast forward it. No, I will speed it up and let you just watch me do it. So I forgot to tell you, I'm using frog tape. It's the yellow frog tape. And mine is like point something. I was trying to find it on here to see if I could find that for you. It's delicate surface. I don't see the width right now, but it's not quite an inch. The ½ inch is my favorite of all time. And sometimes I still flip it around and use the other side. But sometimes the 2 inch or the 1.5 inches, I think it's 1.41. Sometimes it's cheaper than this one. That's weird. And so if this gets really high and I don't catch it on sale, and if I need it, I'll get the 2 inch or the 1.41 inch. And just split it if I have to. But anyway, I wanted to tell you about that while I was painting this last block. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on the border because I know you guys would rather see the flamingo. But I want to show you these, how to tape and dry and what I use to cut and press down. I wanted to show you all that too in case you're new. What was that, 3? Y'all, listen, I forgot. Which brings up another subject. Sometime, if I'm going around, like if I wasn't filming this, I would just go all the way around and I could tape up a lot more little triangles as I go and not just do 3. But I would kind of go over here and I would mark every time like that, every time I got to a stopping place around my board, so I'd know I could keep up with how many coats I've already done. I don't know if I've told y'all that before, but that's just an easy way for me to keep up with it. because I get distracted. And we're going to call that 4 because I think it's 4. Okay. All right. Now, one other thing I thought about doing, and I hate to make this that long, but I don't make my videos very long. But this one may be longer than usual. I kind of warned you about that. Okay. Here is all the colors in this particular line we have painted with Beauty Queen. That way. All right, then I'm going to paint these now. So the top of all of these are the same color. And what I was thinking about, when I get this row done, I think, just to see what we can do, if I would have taped all these up at the same time, would it have turned out better? Or maybe not better, but just as good? I only had one little spot right here, and I'm going to paint that, so that's no big deal. But that's the only little spot that I had bleed through. I'm getting this right down. See, right in that area right there. Don't get it in there. I'm going to raise it up and do it again. Because that's got to go right in that little between them. See, there's just a tiny another little boo-boo, but it'll be all right. So we're just going to do about 4 of these at a time. And you notice now I'm getting that tape right in that tip of that triangle here. And that's what gives you that clear, pretty crisp pattern. I'll do that all day till I get it right. Now, sometimes folks like to leave just a little bit of that color hanging out, showing, creeping out from under the tape. But if I can get it right down on it, that's okay too. Alright, so that what am I doing? I'm supposed to be doing this. Now, there might be some more lines. I thought I about had them all up. Now, like I've said before, if you don't paint over that heat erasable pen, it will come back. Unless you've taken a damp cloth, soapy, just real damp, just a tiny bit of soap, and go over it. So if you think that you have some paint, some heat erasable pen marks on the top of your board when you finish, just take a damp cloth and wipe that off. If you don't, it'll come back. But I put mine in the freezer, and several other people have done a freezer test too, and it comes back if it's not painted over. But if you paint it over it, it will not come back. All right, now let me change gears here and wash my brush out. So let me tell you, don't pay any attention to these cruddy glasses, but I usually get, you know, like pint jars, and I put water, a little bit of warm water in here with some dishwashing detergent. And then I have one over here that's just clear that I rinse it out with. And then, once I rinse my brush out, I always make sure I dry it good. Just squeeze it like that. You're getting stuff off of the sides of it too as well. All right, now, here, all these were the same color. So that's what we're going to paint now. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do this second one, where I did this one black for my client. I'm thinking I might want to do this one turquoise. You know, like a turquoise teal color. I think that'd be pretty with that pink. I'm not sure about that color in the middle if I do that. But anyway, I'm going to do the border first. We'll see where we go from there. All right. So this is powder rose. I'm not sure what I just said. Did I say powder pink? It's powder rose. And I think you got the gist of how I taped that up. So I don't even think I'm gonna speed this up. I just think I'll stop. I'm gonna put 4 coats here, all that. And then this color is hibiscus. And this color is sweet chrysanthemum. And again, I'll show you that at the end. But I'm going to paint that. And then I'm going to come back, like I said, and paint. I'm going to tape up all of that on another side and see what we can do. And we can just compare it. Okay, I got the powder rose on 8 of those. And I was just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pull this up, and then I'm going to put it right back down on top of the powder rose, so that now I have the top of that triangle and the bottom covered. And then I'm going to paint these. Now let's see if we can take that off. And see what we got. I'm just taking my fingernail and trying to pull up a corner. Don't look too bad. That's a piece of that little blue. If you can see that blue, that's just my heat erasable pen mark. And you can barely see the line going through here that we need to separate these. Well, I don't know. I think that worked out better doing them a couple at a time. Not that this is a big deal, but there are a couple of little places that I missed. Little tiny spots that I can go back and fix. That's no big deal. But you see, I didn't have to fix any of that, so that saved time. It took more time to tape it up and paint it that way. But it kind of equaled out having to go back and fix these. Don't you think? Alright. I think that's enough of the border. I will come back when I'm taping this border up and the outside border. Because I've got to try to make a decision what color I want it. Go ahead, Willow. You can come up here. You can come up here. She's got to come see what's going on. Alright, I'll be back. I don't think y'all need to see me tape that up again. So I'll finish the border and come back. Okay, I wanted you to see this before I started painting. The borders on the outside and the one on the inside. I'm going to make them the same color. Now remember, this one is black. I know that light's bothering you. Let me turn that light out. Okay, that's better. See, this one's black, and that the client liked that, but this one I'm doing as a gift. So I decided, so that you guys can see different colors for the border, I am going to use blue Nile teal. It's a dark teal color. And I hope that's showing up for you. But anyway, I wanted you to see it before I started. And all I'm going to do is tape up the outside edges. I'm going to paint these boxes here just like the other one. And the inside border here. And I don't, that's just straight taping and painting. So we'll skip that part on the video. It's already getting long, isn't it? Alright, I'll be back. I did want to mention this to you. When I'm painting the edges, Now, you know, you probably have your own technique, but I paint the outside edge. And I go all the way down. And I'll show you something in a minute. So I'm going to go all the way down through there and get a coat on that. But then I'm immediately come back up here and get that off. Get anything that popped up on the edge. Make sure you get that painted down real quick. Because if you don't, it's going to leave a ridge. And I've done that before when I first got started. And I thought, well, what's causing that? Because I knew I was painting it, trying to smooth it out. But when it would dry, I would have that ridge on some of them. And then I finally figured out that's what was doing. I wasn't working fast enough when I painted the edges. So I just wanted to tell you about that real quick. Here she is. We're getting there. I really like that intense teal with these pinks. What y'all think? Let me know in the comments what you think about those colors. Alright, now it's time to start drawing that flamingo right in the center. I'm going to turn it around like this because I want it on point. Now remember, let me show you that pattern. Alright, remember the pattern that we had from earlier, the beginning of the video, and we drew our flamingo out. Alright, I left that one on there because I had already cut mine out from before. And here it is. Now if you want your flamingo going to the left, you just flip it over. But if you want it going to the right, facing right. So here's what I'm going to do. Now, if you didn't have a piece of paper, you could draw it on your board the way we did it on our paper. So I'm going to try to get mine kind of centered. And then I'm just going to tape it down. So this is just like a template or a pattern when you're sewing. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with this. Nothing. And you know, if you wanted to make a more permanent one, I may have already mentioned this, I don't remember. But you know, they make those plastic sheets. You can get them at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. It's just a plastic sheet that says something about stencil maker or stencil sheet. But you could actually make a harder one that would lay down better for you. With that, you just take that and draw on it and cut it out. I've got the hummingbird pattern that I do with the flowers and things. I've got that on a harder piece of the stencil plastic. Alright, so let me just start. I think I got it. Kind of want that here. I make my legs longer if I need to. Just bear with me while I struggle a little bit. I want that up in the top like that. All right. I'm just going to tape it down a little bit while I draw it, so I can show y'all how I did it. And again, if you're putting it on your board, you wouldn't have to make this pattern like I did. I just wanted to show you, because I drew it this way. So I wanted mine diagonal, so I'd cut this out so that I could place it diagonally. And then I liked the way that turned out. The customer wanted it on point, so I liked the way it turned out. Now I'm not going to draw these legs. I'm not going to copy them. I just want them to lay down flat for a minute. Let's see if I can find me a pen that's going right. Okay. Alright, now it's just simple, and I just drew along the lines with my heat erasable pens. And you know, it don't have to be perfect because you're going to put your tape over it. And I'm just copying it. Don't worry about it if you get out of line or whatever. You're going to straighten it out when you put your tape on it anyway. I'm going to tape a minute. I think I got it. Did I get it all? Make sure I've got that point right here. Okay, now y'all remember earlier when I said that I made little dots, little tiny holes in my pattern, and here's why. Is because of these lines. And I'm just making, see if I already did that. I'm just making dots here, like tick marks. I think I got that. That one, I need one here. Okay. And I'm just going to make a mark here where our legs are going to be, but I'm not going to copy those. Alright, let's see what happens when I pull this up. I'll get my tape off of it. Now that's going to tear that. sure I've got my dots. There it is. I'm going to go here to here. Here. All right. Now we've got the outline. And now we need to take our ruler and make our straight lines. All right. Let's start painting that bird, and then we'll start painting the bird, the flamingo. And what I'm going to do is make sure I got my colors right. So what I'm going to do to make sure I get that right and not mess up, I'm going to, this one is California wine, and I'm just marking it because it's going to go away anyway. This section is California wine. This one, California wine, and this one. So that's what I'm going to paint first. This one, let's just mark them and paint them one at a time. I'm telling you what, that teal color, I had that all over me. I must have got into a big way of painting that. I had it everywhere. All right. I hope this don't aggravate y'all too much, but you know, I always like using my tape over again. So I'm going to use the tape that I had around here. I'm going to use the other side to tape up what I can. I hope y'all took a screenshot of that pattern earlier that we did. Y'all want me to lay it back up there just in case? Hang on a minute. Let me get that tape. Alright, here, just in case, take a screenshot of that. And everywhere I've got those little dots right here, that's where you need to make a tick mark. Just kind of make you a little tiny hole. If you're doing it the way I did it with the pattern, just make you a little tiny hole so that you can mark your spot. Like we did. All right. If you needed more time, you could pause that and take your screenshot. Alright, so we're lining it up, and remember, when I went around my pattern, I didn't get the sharpest lines, but I can make the sharp lines with my tape now. All right, we've got 4 coats on it now. And I'm gonna just pull this up. Okay, so I'm going to tape up the cherry brandy. And again, I'm using my strips that I used around the edges here, so don't let that confuse you. But I'm just going to tape up the 2 sections. I'll put 4 coats on that. Lost my scraper. There it is. Now, I'll tell you another reason, if you're sticking with me this long, I'll tell you another reason I like this scraper. Versus other kinds of cutting tools. I like the scraper because I can get into the nitty-grittiest little corners with this thing. And I'm not cutting into my wood. I don't have to worry about that. Now, if you cut into it, you're going to put paint in there and seal it up and that kind of stuff. But you just never know. And the less invasive you can be to your wood, I would think that would be the better deal. Can't hurt, right? All right, we got one more color to put on there, and that is Pink Punch. So I could either use Pink Punch or Powder Rose. That's those 2 colors here. So I think on this one I'm going to use the Pink Punch. I know that's kind of hard for you guys to see the difference between those 2 on camera. And then when we get this finished, all we'll have to do is put his beak and his legs on. Alright, here comes those feet. Let me get these scraps out of the way so his legs and his feet, you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now, let me see if I can find them. Another marker here. Not a marker. Heat erasable pen. Alright, so we're going to start this leg and we're just going to go down 4 inches. And it doesn't have to be all that straight. Just kind of line it up with this. And we're going to go down 4 inches. Alright, then I'm just going to move over. It's like 1/4 of an inch. No. Yeah, 1/4 of an inch and make a tick mark. And 1/4 of an inch here and make a tick mark. That way I know I'm getting it straight. You know what I need to do is get you down here where you can see what I'm doing. This is why I use those magic markers when I'm drawing it on that paper, so that you can see it. So it's kind of hard for you to see these heat erasable pens. Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to pick the spot we want its other leg to be. I'm going to just kind of line it up with that. And I'm going to line it up with this corner this time. And I'm just going to make this one, I'm going to make this one 6 inches. And do the same thing, go over 1/4 and 1/4. Now I'm going to make that touch the bottom of his belly. And there you go. And I'm just going to angle that instead of having it straight. Now this one is going to take a turn and go that way. So we're just going to line it up with that. Go straight across. And let's do 3.5 inches. And we're going to make another a mark here. A mark here so we can get it straight. There you go. Now, I'm going to go down about let me go over here first. Let's see. I think about 1/2 inch would look good. Now I'm just going to move it to that end and go down 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to angle it a little bit here. See that? Now that came into focus better, didn't it? I finally figured out how to get it on automatic focus. I've been mashing every button on that camera. Y'all just have to excuse it. I'm sorry. Because the camera is like 2 foot taller in the air than I am, so I'm climbing on ladders to get up there and move it. It'll be all right. We'll survive it, won't we? Okay, now I'm just going to tape this up, and I'm going to let you watch me tape this. And then, if you still stick it around, when we paint this background, I'll show you how I tape that up. Now, some folks may say, well, why don't you just paint the whole background and come along and paint this? Well, if that would happen, then that means I'd have 3 coats, 3 to 4 coats here, which would be on here. And then I would come back around with 3 or 4 more coats painting this black. So in these sections where the legs would be, you'd have like 8 coats of paint. 6 at the least. Then they would be like he was trying to run off somewhere. He'd be sticking up. We don't want the penguin, the pelican, the flamingo. We don't want him running away. And that's what he would look like. All the rest of him would be flat against your board. And his legs would be three-dimensional. Let's stick this right here. Still getting little scraps that I've used. Trying to work that out. See how that little razor does? It just, I love it. Enough. Okay, I'll get 4 coats of paint on that and the beak, and I'll be right back. Hey y'all, listen, this is important. When you're doing little bitty, tiny stuff like this, be real careful with the coats of paint, you've got to get it really thin. You see how you can see the white, my board? Can you see the board through that paint? That's exactly what you want. And when I first started, I've learned as I've painted, and you just got to get that really thin and let it dry good and put the other coat on. I mean, you don't have to wait 4 hours, but just, like to the touch, it's dry now, so I can put the other coat on. And I'm gonna put 4. And now I'm gonna let it set for a little bit just to make sure it's good and dry, even though I'm drying it with my heat tool before I take that tape up so it don't pull. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, are y'all ready to see this? It could be a disaster or it could work. So I put 4 coats on like I told you, and it was real thin, so hopefully we've got 2 good legs here. I'm just taking that up slowly. Slow as you can go. Always those corners, I hold my breath. Got a little bit of bleed right there. It's okay. What y'all think so far? It's doing all right. There you go. All right, let's get around here and get the beak. There she goes. Let me get you back up here. Now you can see her. Got to put her eye on. Now let me tell you, I know I'm using different colors than that first one that I showed you. So, and I've called out some of the colors as I've gone along, but don't worry about going back and trying to catch those colors, because at the very end of the video, before I seal it, in case you already know how to do that, you don't have to watch it, but before I seal it, I'll tell you all these colors on both of them, for both of them. Because I can't remember if I told you that first or not. This video's getting long, y'all. And I'm losing my place. Didn't script it out like I should have. We just wing it and have fun, don't we? All right, guess what I'm thinking about putting on the background? Now, on this one, I used, was it Moment of Grace? No, Perfectly Blue is the name of that color. And I used the black, so I like the blue and the black together. Now, on this one, since I used teal, I could either keep it white like this, or I could use nautical. I got a room painted that color upstairs. I love it. But it's just beachy looking. And this flamingo is headed to Myrtle Beach. So we want it to look beachy looking, don't we? All right. I think that's what I'm going to do. Or do you think I should leave it white? I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get in touch with the person who's going to end up with this and see what they think. I'll be back when I find out. Okay. Got in touch with her and she wants nautical. And I was so excited that's what she wanted because I was dying to see what that would look like. So now we get to tape up Mr. Flamingo. Now, you know, that's just a matter of taping, just regular taping, so I won't show you that. But I did want to show you how I tape up those legs. If I can get my camera focused down here a little bit better. I have to move that up some. There you go. Now, hold on just a minute. Okay, so you see this little pinstripe tape that I got? It's about 1/8 of an inch wide. And so that's what I'm putting here. Now, if you don't have this, don't worry about it. Just cut your tape. But I always like keeping this little thin stuff around. Because, you know, that's what I've shown you guys how, what I use when I'm taping up a circle. And see, I'm not going to take a chance on that. So I'm just going to go right in the middle with another streak. You see that? That is so much easier than trying to cut that tape. But like I said, if you don't have this, cut the tape. It'll be all right. Just cut it from each end. On each side and put, you know, what you got left in the middle. Just run it down through here. Because I don't know about you, but I won't be careful enough when I'm painting that to keep from going inside that leg. little bit more. Now, for the beak up there, I'm not going to be doing this for the beak. I don't need to because I can just go around it with my tape, regular tape. And instead of using a roller for this, I think I could just use a wide brush. Now you see that? I'm just going to go ahead and press down with my card. I tell you, this is called burnishing. Now, if you didn't have a card, you could use the end of your brush or just something to make sure you get that down real good. Especially when you've got something that skinny. All right, I'm just going to tape that up and paint it, and I'll be back. Okay, she's all taped up. And I'm using like a 1-inch brush. And you know what? I can't remember. I think I burnished that. But I don't remember. So it's better just to do it again. I can't remember if I did it. Something tells me I didn't. Can y'all see how I think I'd already showed you that. Since this is a how-to thing, do you see how I lapped, when I've got a point like that, I lapped it. And I cut it and then I went this way and lapped over it. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I wanted to show you that just in case. Alright, here we go. I already showed you that. Since this is a how-to thing, do you see how I lapped, when I've got a point like that, I lapped it. And I cut it and then I went this way and lapped over it. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I wanted to show you that just in case. Alright, here we go. Okay, before I show you the colors that I used, and I'm going to do that before I show you how I put the sealer on. I just wanted to show you how I do my touch-ups. I've got this little tiny brush that's flat on the end. And it is Touch. The name of this is, it's a fine brush, number 6, and the brand is Touch. There it is. So you can see how little the end is. Well, can you see this little mark right here? I had a little bit of bleed. So I'm just taking that little brush and putting just a little bit on there. And touching that up. That's another color. And now I'm just telling you how I do. I usually go around, when I get finished, I'll go around and I check for any little bits of bleed through that I had. And I usually do one color at a time. Like that's the lighter color, I won't do that right now. So I'm back here. And that's another one. So that's what I do. I just go around. I'll wash my brush off and do the other color. And that's one thing about these little trays. I start at one and I go all the way around checking that same color on my board. And that way I know I've got all the colors. It's just a way that I keep up with it. And here's the other one that we used. I hope you all like that the book that I showed you that that I had of Mama's, that I have of Mama's. I hope you all enjoyed that. It seemed like more people enjoyed that one than they do some of these actual barn quilts. So we may do some more of that kind of stuff. All right, let me stop and I'm going to show you my colors. And then I'll finish up my touch-ups. One more thing about painting and doing touch-ups. Do you see this? Somehow I missed that. So now I learned this from somebody. I'm not sure where I learned it at. But you see this skewer? Or you could use a pencil. Or just anything that's got a sharp edge. I'm trying to get it over here where you can see it. And I just stick it down in my paint. Like that. It's not focused, is it? So anyway, I'm just sticking it down in my paint. And I'm just using that skewer to put that in there. You see that? And it covered it up, and I didn't get over into the other colors that way. Sometime with the brush, unless you're using one of those little tiny fine brushes, it will do that. Okay. Now the black, you can use any color black you want to. And like I said earlier, you can use different shades of pink. This is just what I did. The black is limousine leather. This light color is pleasing pink. All right, the darker color here is California wine. This second color, that's the darkest one, that's the lightest one. So the medium color is cherry brandy. All right, then for my border, the darkest color, I used Beauty Queen. And this one, let's see, it's the darkest, next to the darkest pink. I used Sweet Chrysanthemum. Then the next lightest color is Hibiscus. And that looks more like this. That I didn't shake it up very well. And then the very light color here is called Powdered Rose. And then for the background, I used Perfectly Blue. But you could use off-white, white, whatever you wanted to. So that's the first one. All right, let me get the colors for the second one up here. See, it's gonna hang on point. All right, those colors, let's see. I had the California wine again. I had cherry brandy for this color. Pleasing pink. No, I used sweet chrysanthemum for that color. Instead of the pleasing pink, I used sweet chrysanthemum. Alright, and then for the black, I used tuxedo black on that one. And sweet chrysanthemum again on the border here. And hibiscus is this one. And then powder rose for the lighter colors here. Then I used Blue Nile teal for this dark teal color. And for the inside, I used a color called Nautical. Alright, now I would say I'll put that in the description, but I probably will forget. So, because my thoughts are, I'm going to try to say part 1 is this, part 2 is this in the description. So, I may get around to putting that in there, but I don't know. But anyway, those colors are Bear from Home Depot. Either the Bear Premium Exterior Semi-Gloss, or I get the semi-gloss samples that say exterior from Home Depot. And then I get Valspar from Lowe's, and then Lowe's sells exterior samples now too, so it's whatever that kind of sample is, but I try to get semi-gloss in that as well. Alright, let me get the touch-ups done, and then I'll come back. I always like to wait 24 hours before I put my sealer on it after I've done anything to the paint, because I don't want it to run. So I'll come back probably tomorrow and put the sealer on it. But that and the hook will be the end of this big long video. See y'all later.